Hi everyone, this is Jim Partridge. I am a modder and mapper, and I was the author of Half-Life 2 Deep Down. I thought it would be interesting to talk through Deep Down and do a commentary and just talk about some of the design decisions I made and some of the choices, and talk about some of the things that went well, some of the things that didn't go quite so well, and how I would do them differently now. Just quickly before we get started though, I thought I'd talk about the title quickly. Happy accident, it just so happens that all the letters in Deep Down are also in the words Episode 2. If you go and look at the Valve font files, you'll see that they only contain the letters that are needed to do the title. They don't do a full alphabet. So as a result, I was very lucky that the words Deep Down could be fit into that. The other thing is that the name Deep Down, if anyone's interested, came from, just like my prior mod Daylight, which I stole from a Sylvester Stallone movie. Deep Down I stole from an episode of Angel, the TV show with the spin-off of Buffy. It's first episode season 4, which is, and I just like the use of the two words and the double meaning of deep down, meaning deep down in the earth, and also deep down as in a feeling of deep down, which is kind of related to Gordon and Alex and their relationship. Anyway, that was that. Moving on, let's get going, shall we? So the intro, I had a very specific idea. I wanted to get the player's attention immediately with a large bang. There is a storytelling ethos that you get the player's attention immediately if you create a big boom at the beginning, and that was mine. It's a thing. It's done at the beginning of Macbeth with a big clap of thunder. It's kind of, clapping your hands together and saying, right, pay attention. Gets the player's attention immediately. I thought I'd start with Gordon just in bed, just because it seemed like a natural place for him to be. A lot of players didn't get this is supposed to be White Forest. The base, the rebel base. I don't know if I really did a very good job in replicating that, and I did steal from the actual location in the game, and a lot of the textures are from there, and a lot of the architecture is quite similar. But I'm not sure if it really came across as that was where we were supposed to be. For those who are interested, there is a gnome in the first room. There is no achievement for carrying it through to the end. I didn't build one in. However, I probably should have done, but it's there for them who want to try it. I know that some players really love to take a gnome with them. With so much driving, however, it does get a bit tricky to keep him with you in this one. Okay, so yeah, this was the first room. I just thought I'd start off. Weapon gate. Make sure they pick up the gravity gun. I didn't want to start them with the gravity gun on them. I wanted them to be able to pick it up so that they knew that they had it. A lot of my maps use the gravity gun, and I think it is a definitive part of Half-Life 2. When I decided to make Deep Down, I was making a Half-Life 2 map, and I wanted it to feel like it was part of the Half-Life 2 game. I didn't want... I know a lot of players prefer Half-Life 1 gameplay, so they don't include the gravity gun, but if you're going to do a Half-Life 2 game, gravity gun is essential in my opinion. It is the defining element of Half-Life 2. So, these tunnels and everything, I am going to admit I shamelessly stole some of these sections directly from Half-Life, from Episode 2 maps, official maps. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What I'm building here is a Half-Life 2 environment, and I wanted it to feel as close to a Half-Life 2 episode as possible. Some people might disagree with the fact that I should have built everything from scratch and, whatever. I don't see why not. To me, these are building blocks like Legos. I'm placing together various elements to create a new story and a new adventure. If you spend all of your time, and a lot of mappers do spend all their time creating completely new adventures, completely new environments, then I don't think you get as much time to do the good stuff. So this is the voice of Bruce Hiley, who is a member of, or he is a volunteer from Planet Phillip.
First, you've got to get out from
just let him speak.
Take the car, burst through the lines, kill whoever or whatever stands in your way. Now go! Before we're all killed.
I love the tone he puts on that last point. He is a great bit of voice acting. He's a great guy, from what I can see. And I really just put it out there. I did a first version that was in French. It was awful. It was like a French accent. It was terrible. And it was comedy.
What are you waiting for? Get going, Freeman.
That's what Valve refer to as a nag. So you just do a quick follow-up. Alex does it all the time. Gordon, come on, we got to go. Gordon, come on, we got to go. Whatever. Just keeps you moving forward and hints at what you're supposed to be doing. I just left that in there because I thought it was quite good in case the player was still mucking around. A bit of comedy. So I chose to have a voice actor do this. I could have quite easily put it on screen. I was trying to find an interesting way to do this, and originally my concept was to have a video that the player would watch of a team that had gone to the mine and encountered something, and you would see them encountering it but not know what it was that they had encountered. I think you should always start off on these projects with great high ideals. As it was just too difficult to do. A lot of the acting with the NPCs is quite tough. It's quite time consuming, and so I just didn't get time to get that done. But you can't, sit on these projects forever, unfortunately. Got to move on to something new. I'm a big believer in that. So I added a few sections like this. There's quite a lot of this kind of stuff with hidden bonuses or just stuff for the player to do. There's probably too much of this kind of lift it out over the fence type stuff going on, but it adds a lot more, playability. I also wanted Lamar in there somewhere. That's who that's supposed to be. I don't know if everyone got it. For some reason I couldn't make him do the animation I wanted, so he just sits there like a still statue, but he's still in there, so that's fine. Moving on, that little touch there with the that is a shade quake on the player's view, and then I used a kind of an impact behind that just to push it off the shelf. That was suggested by Magnar Jensen from the from Mission Improbable fame. He had a playthrough and just suggested a few points, which was a very good suggestion. I added Dog at the very, very last minute. He doesn't do anything, he's not very good for much. I hadn't really worked out how to make Dog work at that point, so I literally just plonked in the NPC and added a line of dialogue for Alex when we got to this point, just so she could acknowledge Dog being there. The other NPCs around I added fairly late in the day as well. They weren't here, the base was empty, and people said this does not feel like a base. A lot of people have commented it still doesn't feel like a base, there's just not enough going on. But as I said, getting these guys to move and do stuff is one of the toughest things I find. The random item generator was just simply I was playing around with some bits and pieces, and I realised that you can just create anything you want to. You just create a template and you can make this tool create whatever you want. The animation I think is great, I love it, and I just love the idea of this kind of teleporter or this kind of item generator, a bit like a sort of a holographic thing from Star Trek. And the original idea was to have these kind of placed in key areas around the map before battles and that kind of thing. I ended up using them more as kind of hidden bonuses. There are 3 throughout Deep Down. Most people know where 2 of them are, but the third one has a lot of people have missed, so we'll discover that later on when we go into the next map. You can keep going. Anyway, moving on. This section I'm not hugely proud of. A lot of people have said that the on-screen text was not great way to deliver this. Having delivered our objectives and stuff with using a voice actor, it would have been good had we carried on using voice actors throughout. I completely agree. At the time I was kind of rushing and trying to get stuff done, and I just couldn't think of a way to deliver this, and also to train the player on this. It was mentioned to me, oh, you should have a combined force field here, so the player can get used to it. I couldn't really justify story-wise how a combined force field would end up in the middle of a rebel base, so I didn't do it. Looking back, it might have been a better idea. So just before we open the door and head outside, I think I could have done a lot more detailing on this base. I think it's quite boring. When you actually look at White Forest base, there are quite a lot of more stuff going on. There's a lot of piping on the roofs and stuff like that. I tried to do a bit of it here. I have a problem with detailing. I'm not very it's not my favourite thing to do. I know a lot of mappers get stuck on detailing, so they'll build one room and then spend a month making it look pretty. I don't do that. I build very bare bones, and I tried to minimise the amount of that I would have to do by stealing from the official game maps to make stuff look as close to episode 2 as I could do. But yeah, as I say, detailing is not my strong point. So we're going to head outside, and then I'll no clip and we can have a look at the overall map. So when I did this, I really wanted to impress upon the player that this was going to be a proper Half-Life 2 adventure, and hence the quite high quality of these areas. It's actually not as hard to recreate this kind of look and feel as you might think. If you go into some of the official Half-Life 2 Episode 2 maps, the look and feel is, I mean, there's a lot of displacements and that kind of thing, but for the most part, it's fairly straightforward. Some trees, some mountains. You just keep going. You just keep adding and keep adding and keep adding until you feel it's as close to Episode 2 as you can get. A lot of the displacements, you have this kind of this grass and stuff, which kind of fills in the world a bit for you. It looks very detailed, but actually it isn't. There's not a huge amount going on. So, and I think there was a lot of comment about the fact that the disparity between the indoor areas and the outdoor areas, and I think it's just because the outdoor areas you have all this displacement work, and it does a lot of the hard work for you. I mean, there's not a lot of different elements going on here. So, what else can we talk about? So, the grenades and the Combine, this section here will go on forever. I could stay here like this forever, throwing these grenades, and these Combine would continue to spawn, and I could continue having fun blowing them up. And that was kind of the idea. There's a few sections where the gameplay is endless, so that people can stay and have as much fun as they want to. Okay, so I made the light red down there, hopefully indicating that the gate was closed and locked, and follow the wire up. I don't think that was too tough to follow, but I know that some people thought it could have been done a bit better. I like the fact of pushing the player up here and there to actually move past these guys, and actually, you can move in, you get this guy out of the way, and he'll use the rocket launcher, which is fun. These are all usable as well. I wanted as much as possible to have the world be as interactive as possible. Everything around could be used. Okay, so let's just talk through this bit as well. I really love the smoke trails on these things, and I wanted to make as much of those as possible, and also you could see the origin of where these were coming from, so they'd sort of be fired from behind the forest there and come all the way in. It was mentioned to me that they were moving a little bit slowly, that the gravity wasn't real. That just kind of adds, it's more like in movies where they do stuff in slow motion, it sort of adds to the drama of the scene. I slowed them right down, maybe a little too much. It's a little bit unrealistic, but it is what it is. I think I should have made this light flash. I don't think it gets the player's attention that that something has changed, but I think they get the point eventually. I think a lot of players also at the point when they opened this, they ran straight back to the car, drove to the front, and didn't realise that there was that they would have to open this. When they hit that, the shells came in. My intention was for the player to move to hit that and then come running back, and as they ran back, the shells were coming around them. As it is, the shells can't hurt you. It was just too much damage going on when they came in before. So anyway. So that's that. I liked the idea of showing the old buggy as being sort of somehow, obsolete now that we've got the new car. And just it's just a nice nod back to episode Half-Life 2, which I think a lot of players quite liked the fact that we showed that there was some of these elements here. So at this point, I'm going to no clip and. We can take a look at the rest of the map and take a look at some of the more interesting things. No target. Okay, so this kind of gives you the overall layout. I started out as having, I was just building the front of this really, and it started off as a winding road heading down a mountain, and I often start building without really having a complete plan as to what I want to do, which is bad. I know some people have sort of said, oh, Jim's maps are so well planned, but actually they're not. Ideas come to me as I'm building, and it's the same with this one. It's certainly only a certain way through it did I realise, oh, okay, I'm going to make this white forest, and oh, okay, I'm going to, add in some of these details. So a lot of this stuff, as I say, was pinched from episode 2. That includes the barrier, some of the road pieces. I just picked them straight out of the maps and plonked them straight into mine. All of the mountain work is all mine. As you can see, there isn't much of a mountain range there. Once you get over the top of it, that's it. And obviously I put the aerial in just to really try and once again impress upon the player that this is where we are. We're at White Forest. I don't think anyone got it. Anyway, so moving around, I did have a situation where I was going to maybe have the player walk down here, like sort of head down this way. Like there would be some kind of barrier here that they would have to break before they got to head back up and drive the car down. In the end, I felt that once we had this gate open, it felt better that the player could just drive straight on out and put the pedal to the metal. It felt like we'd been waiting quite a long time to be able to get in the car and go. So it made sense to me to just let them do that. Obviously, as they drive through here, we've killed so many of these guys now, and all of them have dropped weapons. That was intentional so that you could pick up the weapons on the way through. There really isn't much of a chance of you not picking them up. Okay, so moving down and around, we've got the we'll trigger the we'll drive through it in a moment, but also looking down here, we've got the Combine Force Field. Obviously we're going to drop down. Over here I did place a few pickups. If the player wanted to stop, they could come and explore and find a few bits and pieces. I think that's actually a crate that's been exploded, but there we go. And that's pretty much it for this area. I mean, there's a few other bits. We've got some physics props here that you can throw at the Combine and stuff if you want to. If you wanted to come down and deal with it on foot, that I made that possible. Okay, so let's drive through this section, and then we'll and we'll talk about the next section in a moment. Getting Alex to get in and out of the car isn't really a big deal. It was simply an input and an output on the car itself.
Let's do it.
Some people mentioned about the animation of her with the shotgun in the car. It's true. I did try and have her swap out for the pistol, but that didn't happen. The dropship I added very last minute. Daz over at Custom Gamer suggested that it didn't really feel much like an invasion, so I needed to add a bit more, so I did. So the player gets to use the function there to drop the force fields. The interesting part about the force fields, I think, is actually I'm going to get out of the car here. Alex might die. The interesting thing about the force fields is that I use them specifically to prevent the player from to prevent the player from proceeding without the car. I didn't want the player to be able to move to a next section of the map without taking the car with them. Incidentally, when we came through, the G-Man is up here. He's walking along this section here. We missed him just then. I should have pointed him out. I forgot. Yeah, so that's your first G-Man sighting, is right there. This section here is just the same section of forest repeated over and over again. It's just that there's a chunk there, and a chunk there, and a chunk there, and a chunk there, and a chunk there. The reason for that is because obviously we're going to be moving through here at a pretty fast pace, and that is it was completely pointless to sculpt an entirely unique area all the way through. Alright, we'll stop Alex from getting killed now, and let's get back in the car. And the idea here was to get into the tunnel under the rockets if possible. Once again, I'm a big template mapper, so I created sections of tunnel. I can't see. I created some sections of tunnel where, you know, in a turn, a corner, and really just slapped them together until I had a series of tunnels that I could hack it down and put the foot down and have some fun. The problem is with doing driving is that you need to cover a large area, and you need to cover it. If you were to map every area as a proper area, it would take forever. So you simply, tunnels are a great option for that. Oops. Tunnels are a great option just purely because you can travel as far as you like, and you don't have to build big backdrops and impressive mountains and stuff like that. The hopper mines I hadn't seen used with the car. I thought it was quite an interesting idea to try and dodge them. They can be quite brutal, so I think you have to get quite good, but really, once again, this section is just simply about getting your foot down and having a good time behind the wheel, and I think that went quite well. So on to map 2.